I have more breaking developments coming. I have just been informed that External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has now spoken to the Foreign Minister of Norway, and he has communicated that India intends to will have zero tolerance for terrorism. Now, a lot of these phone calls have been made in the last 72 hours. You can well imagine, non-stop it is happening. We've heard the statements that have already been issued by several countries from across the globe, from South America to Southeast Asia and in our near neighborhood. This remains important. Ambassador Mukherjee, why? In the end, we have to fight our own battles. Why is this still important?
It's very important so that both bilaterally and multilaterally, they have a clear perspective of what's going on. Norway, for instance, with whom we have an excellent bilateral relationship, we have informed the Norwegians because they have a lot of influence on their fellow Nordic countries, etc. And Norway appreciates the fact that India has zero tolerance for terrorism. That is something that Norway has always appreciated, and by and large, our allies in the European Union have also appreciated the fact that we have not tried to escalate. The first escalation was by Pakistan through its unprovoked and horrific terrorist attacks. When we retaliated through operations.
Interrupt you, ma'am. You have told that External Affairs Minister Jaishankar is speaking right now. Let's listen in.
World order. The contribution that Indians made to this defining event is well known. It ranges from the Burma, North Africa, and Italy campaigns to the Persian corridor to the Soviet Union and the hump over the Himalayas. I'm glad today, Ambassador, to see that the Russian embassy.
So this is an event that's happening at the Russian embassy. It's a cultural event, but he has made in his opening remarks statements that are flashing at the bottom of your screens, talking about India facing the challenge of terrorism. But good to see him carrying on with his normal routine, amid what I'm assuming is 24 hours non-stop. That's indicative to many of us that at the highest levels, the people who are having to make the toughest decisions, literally life and death, peace and war decisions, they are being exceedingly measured and calm. And that is a good example. I'm taking it as an example. Also had a few sleepless nights, obviously. I'm assuming a lot of you have had them also, especially if you're in the western and northern areas of India. But measured and calm, and let's see us through it. Okay, now let me pick up this Subramanian Datta joining us on the broadcast as well, and I have Ramneek Singh Mann who is joining us. Mr. Mann, we're going to put this on our screens. Okay, we all know what's happened in Poonch yesterday, where Pakistani shelling has targeted a Gurdwara, leading to 3 deaths, including 1 woman. Now, I know for a fact, and General Mathur can probably volunteer that for me as well, that on the LOC, with the heights that overlook each other, with a battleground that's been going on for 80 years, every inch is known to the other side. And the artillery guns are already pre-sighted, they're pre-trained. This is not something that you're doing arbitrary firing that went wayward. You have it all pre-trained. So, General Mathur, I am assuming that they know exactly what these buildings are, what they are aiming for, what they are intending to do, and this is as deliberate as it gets.
Absolutely correct, Rishabh. I will tell you, I will narrate an incident. They know the names. I was in Tangdhar and they called me Captain Mathur. So that is the kind of knowledge that we have of each other's place. One thing which I want your viewers to know, that in the line of control, no matter whether you are at a dominating position or at a position which is disadvantageous in terms of tactics, you hold it, because in the long run, gainers in the line of control are keepers. So you cannot afford to lose even one millimeter of real estate in the line of control.
Okay.
So there are places, the pattern of the artillery and other types of shellings and all these things is dictated also by that. They fire at you where they are at a they are at an advantageous position, and we retaliate where we are at advantageous
Okay,
position.
but the point I was making was that yes, collateral damage happens in times of shelling, but in the LOC especially, which is a constant, I mean for 2 weeks and for 80 years, it's been a hot zone. Yes, General Mathur, finish your thought, yes. This is, they know what they're firing at. It's not like they did not know what they were doing.
Yes, but then they have targeted the civilian areas which have got nothing to do with the line of control. That Gurdwara Sahib is away. I have been to that Gurdwara Sahib myself. It is away, well away from the line of control. So they are targeting the civil areas. There is no doubt, Rishabh, in my mind.
Okay, so let me get Mr. Maan into this conversation. Mr. Maan, I'm assuming you've heard the Foreign Secretary, and he has not only mentioned this yesterday, but now you've heard the message from Pakistan. They have said that the Indian government is ordering attacks on its own religious institutions. When we all know what is going on, they further tried to claim that India has launched attacks on Nankana Sahib, which are all malafidely false. What do you think that the Pakistanis are up to when they, as you've just been established, are deliberately and provocatively targeting places of religious worship?
So 2-3 very quick points. Good evening to the fellow panelists. Good evening, General. Rishabh, let me, Jain sir. So let me just tell you this, that you look at all the history of Pakistan, starting from the Mumbai bombings and then coming up to Pahalgam 2025. There are incidents that have happened within India, the terrorist incidents happening within India, have all been sponsored by Pakistan at their behest. And now, how do you draw a difference between these terrorists who had indiscriminately fired at civilians at Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus in Bombay, or at the Taj Hotel in Bombay, where 160 plus people were killed, and now the Pakistan army targeting civilians? What is the difference? Now, the only difference is that the Pakistan army wears a uniform. They are as bad or as good a terrorist that anyone else is. The Lashkar-e-Toiba, the Hizbul Mujahideen, or any other terror group, they are as bad. They're as bad. So now the international community has to realize that the international migrant called Pakistan and the rogue army with quite literally a Maulana leading it. I mean, he's a part-time general, he's a full-time Maulana. If you ever heard him, he keeps giving sermons, khutbah bolte hain. So he keeps giving khutbahs. So that is where it is. So now, coming back to the original point where you were talking about the attack on Gurdwara Sahibs, yes, there is a communal angle which Pakistan is trying to propagate in India. They are targeting our Gurdwaras in India. They are killing our people in India, and then they are telling that, India is trying to target Gurdwaras within Pakistan. We know the Prime Minister. As a Sikh, I have always held that position. The Prime Minister is pro-Sikh as any Sikh could have ever been. He's more than pro-Sikh than any Sikh leader could have been. And we have that example in the shape of former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. He was not that pro-Sikh as this Prime Minister is. So this is not believable. This we don't buy. As a matter of fact, Pakistan had tried to hit Darbar Sahib. And this is what, the real face of Pakistan is. So again, finally, in my concluding remarks, I'd say that we're not going to fall for Pakistani's information warfare propaganda. We know who you people are. As a matter of fact, Rishabh, the same Nankana Sahib that, they've been mentioning, the head Granthi of Nankana Sahib, his daughter was abducted, forcefully married, and never returned. And these are the same people who got out together, collected in front of Nankana Sahib, Gurdwara Sahib, and they said, we will convert it into a mosque. So this is how, their character has been. And they have always been in the denial mode. Dossiers after dossiers, they've been asking for, neutral inquiry. So we've allowed them inquiry in the Mumbai attacks, leading right up to the Pathankot airbase attack. We actually let their ISI people come and investigate. What happened? Zero, nothing. So this is all an eyewash. The best way of dealing with Pakistan is hit them very, very hard inside where it matters. The 9 locations the Indian Army or the military or the armed forces targeted on day 1 were designated terrorist locations. But how do you differentiate
Yeah, but
the army?
Mr. Maan, you know, you and I live here. I'm a Punjabi also.